Good to be here. I heard that I'm the first speaker this morning, so no pressure on me, I guess. Dear participants, my name is Louise Grabo, and I represent the European Economic and Social Committee, where I serve as the president for the Single Market and Digital Transition Observatory. And I'm here today to present a bit more about the work in the committee, but also my perspectives on what the new Commission should do and the work forward for the European Union and the digital transition. And as we all know, the digital transition is no longer in front of us, but right here in everything we do, and we have to tackle the new challenges and embrace new opportunities to make the new digital reality available for everyone. But to start off, I would like to present the committee and what we're doing, because maybe for some of you, you know a bit about the EESC, but for others, maybe you never heard of these EU institutions before. So the EESC we're the house of organized civil society, and we represent a balanced view of the most prominent interest groups on EU policies. And we work as a reality check for the Commission and the other institutions, and we write opinions on the different EU proposals. And within the committee, we have three groups: the employers, the trade unionists, and the organized civil society. And altogether, we represent 329 members from all over Europe. And the EESC was set up 1957 by the Rome Treaties to involve the economic and social interest groups in the establishment of the common market and to provide an institutional structure for breathing the key EU institutions. And we are structured by several thematic sections, including the section for the single market, production, and consumption. And these sections are similar to the work in the European Parliament with the committees. And we also have dedicated bodies, such as the Digital Single Market Observatory. And I am representing the National Youth Council in Sweden, so I am in Group 3. But since I have my background within the fintech industry, as Secretary General for the Swedish Fintech Association, I've come to be very active in more digital policy. And since I still think I'm the youngest member of the committee, which maybe says something more about the committee than me, because I'm not so young anymore. I'm 31. I think they also see me as some kind of leaders within the digital questions, which is interesting sometimes. But let me present a bit about the work in the Digital Single Market Observatory. The observatory concentrates on the development of the EU digital single market and covers, among other things, the activities of the EESC on the digital agenda, including policy related to data, cybersecurity, research and development, and the market uptake on digital technologies. And the priority focus in 2024 for us is the general purpose AI. As you all know, the EU has put forward the first AI legislation in the world. And I know the opinion on this bit of legislation might vary in the room, but from the committee's perspective, we are very happy to now see a legislative framework that promote innovation, but at the same time focus on trustworthy and human-centered AI. Something that the committee has been advocating for since 2019, when we wrote our first opinion about the need for a trustworthy AI around the European Union and the world. This year, the observatory will continue to contribute to the practical implementation of the AI Act and setting up an effective EU governance mechanism of general purpose AI, in which civil society organization plays a big role. We will engage in sharpening the next steps in the field, for example, future actions in relation to general purpose AI, generative AI and foundation models, or any other cross-countering or sector-specific initiatives in the area of AI, including also the labor market, of course. We will also add to the global discussion on the topic of AI governance, in particular on the general purpose AI and foundation models. And to do this, we are making a study on generative AI and foundation models that will be finalized in the first quarter of 2025. And we will map the relevant value change at the EU single market to identify EU's comparative edge in the field and evaluate related opportunities and risks. We hope that our study could contribute to the Commission's work with foundation models to better understand the value chains of AI in Europe. The EESC has also been very active in forming the digital policy in Europe. Except from AI, we have been active in policy initiatives from the Commission regarding high-performance computing back in 2021, digital sovereignty back in 2022, and since 2023, we've been advocating for a competitiveness in the EU. And we were really happy this week when President of the Commission, Ursula von der Leyen, took into account, when she presented the new Commission, the need for all EU legislation to be reviewed from a perspective of how it will affect competitiveness in the EU. And right now, when we're waiting for the new Commission to take place, we're helping the EU Commission in their work in evaluation of the Digital Europe program, a program that operates between 2021 and 2027, why we are now doing a half-term evaluation. And the program is designated to bridge the gap between digital technology research and market deployment. It will benefit Europe's citizens and businesses, especially the SMEs, and providing funding for projects in 5 crucial areas: supercomputing, AI, cybersecurity, advanced digital skills, and ensuring the wide use of digital technologies across the Union. And a working group in the committee, where I've been a part of, has done a few country visits. We've been to Sweden, Poland, Germany, Malta, and Portugal, where we met different stakeholders and interviewed them about the Digital Europe program and what can be done better in the last period of the program. So the final report will be published after we voted on it in the section and finally in the plenary session in October. And after that, it will be sent to the Commission and the other institutions, but it will also be open for the public if you're interested. But since I guess some of you in the room might be interested in our result, I could maybe give you some hints on our recommendations. And the Digital Europe program have had a slow start due to the pandemic, and that's why not so many projects have maybe come too far. But we've seen some better examples and some worse from the different countries we visited. Even though it should not be a difference between larger member countries and the small ones, we've seen it's easier for the larger countries to operate the program with bigger resources and national goals and strategies compared to, for example, Malta, which has these resources and don't have the ability to work as strategical with the European Digital Europe program. We've also studied the digital innovation hubs, and we think they've not been maybe so successful in reaching out to the wider community, but also to startups and SMEs. We think the outreach need to be more effective for the digital innovation hubs to be even better. And we see some similarities between the Digital Europe program and the Horizon 2020 program. And I guess it's some similarities that we see quite large risk for the administrative burden to be too heavy, and the level of funding from EU too low to attract the SMEs and startups to the different projects. We rather see that the projects attract university, larger companies and research institutes, which is good, but we should not forget about the smaller companies and the startups in this process. And that is something the Commission needs to take into consideration the coming years of the program. Lastly, I would like to take this opportunity to say something about Mr. Draghi's report on competitiveness and the expectations of the new Commission. Mr. Mario Draghi puts, on his report that were released last week, puts the lights on the EU to lacking in competitiveness, and that we, the last years, have seen how the US and China are running much faster than Europe. The EU are lacking behind in growth, and if the trend continues, the prosperity gap between the average European and the average American in 2035 will be as big as between the average European and the average Indian today, which says something about the situation. And with this report, we now have on paper the scale of the problem with competitiveness, but do we have the scale of the solution? We really need to find that. And if the last Commission's focus been on the green transition, which is very good, it should now be focused on the digital transition and on the competitiveness. So the big question is, how do we build a competitive Europe that would still need to be social, green, and innovative Europe? I think that's the main question for the new Commission. But I think the new Commission has a big focus on competitiveness, which is very good. And for example, we got the Commissioner for Startup and Innovation, which is a new portfolio, and I'm very eager to see what she will do with that. But also we see many commissioners that have a focus on competitiveness. So I hope that the new Commission and the other institutions will keep their good dialogue with the European Economic and Social Committee and the organized civil society, because we have super much knowledge from different fields. I mean, we represent labor organization, we represent companies, we represent consumer organization, we represent youth organization. So we definitely have our boots on the ground and know what's buzzing around the European Union. So with that said, thank you for having me here. And please reach out to me or any of my colleagues in the EESC if you would like to be more involved in the work that we do. We really need you guys to get informed about what's happening in the innovation part of the European Union. And it's also a way to strengthen our work amongst the other EU institutions. So I hope that you will have a fantastic event. I fortunately would have to run because I have plenary session, so I need to be in the Parliament. And I hope that you continue the important work of yours. Thank you so much.